All right, let's jump right into, or not right into, let's jump 33 and a half minutes into running a business. I know I actually said this to you early in our relationship because you and I met and, kind of like ships passing. I'm like, okay, man, I like that guy. He's hustling. He's doing things. I'm naturally interested to know about someone and either from you or from other people around the office. They kind of gave me some background on what you're doing, which I respected a lot. And one of the things I mentioned to you, because I think that respect is mutual, and you kind of commented on the amount of volume I do in sales. And like we've said here before, sales is very transactional. Which makes it, businesses are transactional, but good businesses aren't transactional, really. They're not reliant on just transactions. And I said something to you to the effect of, you're really good at running business. I'm really good at doing business. And the running of the business is so paramount, especially if you ever want to step back and enjoy a better quality life and do all these things. So that's something I always admired with you. And that's something that you kind of from the outset, we talked about this in previous episodes, you're very focused on and pivoting through different business opportunities. So what do you find? What kind of questions do you get? Well,
as I say, we did get some questions sent in from multiple different viewers. So I'll try and hit some of those. And so to say also what business I'm running right now, realistically, the only business outside of already investing in real estate, we technically have a property management company. Being a real estate agent is a contracting restoration company. And basically what
plug them? Everyone's house has just leaked the last week.
Rainbow International of Halifax. It's a franchise. And we do basically insurance work. We're not necessarily like someone you would call to reno your house, but when your house floods, you'd call us. We'd handle mitigating it, stopping the water, removing anything that's damaged, and then also repairing your house and working directly with your insurance company to get that accomplished. So I guess starting out, like, this is a first one is everyone's like, how do you choose? Because everyone I talk to is like, I don't know what I want to do. I don't know what I want to do. I want to have a business, but I don't know what I want to do. There's just no magic sauce. Like we've talked about in earlier podcasts, I did a bunch of different things. Like first thing I did, I was aerating lawns. And then I was selling random crap on Kijiji. And then I was flipping car parts. And then I was importing products and reselling them. And then I was importing cars and reselling them. And so I tried a bunch of different things. And I kind of followed things that I was interested in because it made it a little bit easier to stomach spending my 8 p.m. to 12 p.m. on the computer researching or working on stuff.
Okay, so did you specifically look for a franchise model? Because I always found the franchise model kind of interesting because don't they sort of say, hey, we give you this thing turnkey, you pay us these fees? Unpack like the franchise idea and why you...
Well, yeah, so I'll get there with that. So I did all the other ones and then got into real estate. Real estate became my thing. And then I was like, okay, I was doing my third flip-ish, I think, or second even, and I was struggling to get good quality people and consistently have them there, right? Which is a tough part, especially when you're starting out and you don't have relationships with these guys. You might make your 50% deposit, they say a week, and then it takes 4 weeks and it goes over budget, on and on and on. That still happens once you have the relationships, but it's a little easier to pull, especially when you have a large volume of work. So starting out, I didn't have that, and I was struggling a bit. And so I was like, okay, like maybe it makes sense to have a rental company because I know a lot of construction guys.
If I'm experiencing this, other people are probably experiencing this.
And also watching online and seeing other people in the city and around, a lot of guys who had contracting businesses did real estate because I'm like, okay, it makes sense because like, oh, well, I can save on the plumbing costs or I can save on the carpentry costs or I can save on electrical because that's what I do.
Competitive advantage. I think I've probably said that a few times. What are your competitive advantages? Obviously, if you're working in the trades or have a contracting company, that can become an advantage.
Exactly. It became your competitive advantage. So then I looked at doing that. And I didn't love it for the simple fact that the barrier to entry was low and there's a million of every one. Whether I was a plumbing company, there's 150 of them out there. If I was an electrical company, there's 150 of them out there. Now, there's nothing wrong with them. If you do a good job of running them, there's lots of money to be made and they can run well. But I'm always nervous about basically recessions. If you guys haven't gathered yet, I'm always concerned about things pulling back and slowing down. And so I was like, what does well even in a recession, or maybe even does better during a recession? Because I said, look, the real estate, when things are going well, real estate's going to be popping. I don't really care how the contracting company does. But when things turn around, I don't want to be holding the bag on real estate, on a contracting company, on and on and on.
But houses flood whether the economy is good or bad.
Exactly. And houses flood
whether... interesting, dude.
Insurance companies always have the money to pay because they're the customer that's paying. And that's the other biggest
And they
gripe.
pay top dollar.
They pay top dollar. And people always gripe that customers don't pay or they bitch and they're fighting about their thing. Insurance, they pay top dollar. They know what they're paying. They cut you the check before the work's even done sometimes.
Okay, so let me just think about that a second. So, filled a need, right? Like you experienced something that was challenging to you, and you kind of took from that. Well, if it's challenging to me, it's challenging to other people, and then you kind of dipped your toes in it and saw what facets of it had like sustainability and which maybe didn't.
Yeah,
and then this whole kind of recession-proof idea of, well, even if I am a plumber, a plumbing contractor or electrical contractor, there still may be these ebbs and flows. I'm still ultimately at the end of the day, market transactional.
Yeah.
And so you said, well, I want something a bit more secure than that. That's really interesting.
And the other thing is, to be honest, even what it says even more so is during recessions, restoration companies actually do better because people are more likely to make an insurance claim. Like there's probably 500, probably more than that, like
right, because they don't have the liquid cash. Oh my God, that's ingenious.
Yeah, see, so and because right now there's probably 5,000 houses that flooded in the city, and a bunch of people aren't going to bother going through their insurance because like, it's a few grand, whatever, I'll do it myself.
Right. And their deductible might be $5,000. So like, it's $3,500 worth of work. I guess I'm not going to file the claim because my deductible is $5,000 anyway. Even though or maybe they keep it $1,000. They're like, what's
I got a new HELOC on my house. It's 200 grand. Whatever,
yeah.
I'll pay it and do it.
But if times are hard,
they have to go through their insurance. Insurance does better when times are hard. That's what my thing. I was all about what's going to do better when there's a recession.
This is getting me kind of excited. Yeah. I want to invest. Can I get a franchise too?
So that's how that came to be. Now I have a business partner on that company, and he more runs the operation, the day-to-day show. And we talked about it, and that's kind of how we came to it.
Is that Justin?
That is Justin, yes.
And shout out to Justin.
Shout out to Justin, yeah. So we talked about it, and we had looked at a bunch of different businesses. Like we had looked at different franchise models for other things or different other businesses, and we worked together in the past. And we kind of settled on this due to its basically what I like to say is recession proof. Now the reason we went down the franchise model, like you're saying, was insurance companies. Like you can't just say Neal's Restoration,
right?
Call up Allstate in Toronto and be like, "Hey, Neal's Restoration
send
is open.
Us. Yeah,
just send me your 65,000 clients. Like I'm
Yeah.
ready to handle this shit. Let's go." And so to be able to get around that, you have to work within franchise models, and that's why everyone might know the names like Belfour, First Onsite Restoration. Like these are massive multi-billion-dollar corporations that are across North America, if not internationally.
Yeah,
and they build literal contract relationships with the insurance brands.
right.
So all those are obviously already taken, but there's a new one basically coming to town called Rainbow International. Now,
Right. So those, when you say all those ones were already taken, you mean the franchise rights to those were already secured in this area?
either the franchise rights are already taken or they're corporate locations.
Yeah. So they don't have
So
franchisees.
there's no
yeah.
opportunity, and you might have the opportunity to buy one, but the sale prices would be astronomical because it's basically like you're buying a guaranteed book of business.
It's like why a McDonald's franchise or a Tim Hortons franchise are very, very, very expensive.
Exactly. You basically buy the territory and you receive the phone calls. So in looking through that, there was kind of one that's big in the States that hasn't made its entry into Canada yet, but is working on it. And so we saw an opportunity there. And that was Rainbow International of Halifax. They also own a bunch of other brands like Molly Maid, AirServe, Mr. Appliance, Mr. Electric, Mr. Rooter. That's all under the same umbrella.
So they started to get the whole layered.
Yeah, exactly. And here they have a Mr. Electric, a Mr. Appliance, and Mr. Rooter.
Mr. Rooter, yeah.
Molly, they have all of them here already. So it's just kind of adding to that layer. So anyways, we went through the whole process of buying it. And again, the idea was that franchise had the relationship with the insurance, so it would bring in the leads. Of course, we do have to pay a franchise fee up front to buy it. They have a mandatory list of vehicles, equipment, uniforms, and everything, and space you need to have. So we had to dump in about a couple $100,000 to get it off the ground. And then you start paying monthly fees, royalties on every bit of work you do. And
Right.
it differs on what type of work it is because, again, certain types of insurance work are extremely profitable and certain types are not.
So I remember one time you told me, though, that the strictness of that franchise model actually helped you because in them saying, no, you need an admin person, you need this person, it forced you to hire positions and build out a system that maybe otherwise you wouldn't do yourself.
Exactly. So it was great for me because I was fairly new to real business. Like at that point, everything had been like sole proprietor. I kind of ran the show. I might have 1 or 2 employees or like some hourly people, things like that. This forced me to I need to have a location. I need to have a warehouse. I need to have a certain amount of vehicles. I had to have all this gear. I had to have an administrator. We had to use all these softwares. We had deliverables every week.
Wow.
Which was great. On the flip side,
It's like having a really strict teacher.
yes. On the flip side, I was working for the man at that point. I realized that after that, it kind of takes away all your freedoms and kind of why I really wanted a business, right? Like again, it's not about as much the money for me as it might seem, like I really want the freedom, right? That's what I was looking for. And we kind of lost that in going into the franchise. And additionally, at the same time, my real estate business was taking off. So it was a little bit tough to do it. So I mean, I guess my involvement now is fairly limited. I run kind of some of the back end stuff, and Justin runs a lot more of the front end of it. And it was a sharp learning curve. We came on, we got kind of busy. At first, we weren't getting busy at all, and then we got kind of busy through some different marketing techniques that we utilized, which we'll talk about marketing another time. But used marketing and was able to get the phone from maybe one call a week to about one call a minute. Like literally, it was ringing off of the hook. We ramped up. We hired a bunch of people. I think at one point we had like 16 of us all in, which is not crazy. But again, as someone starting
what were the
out,
roles of those 16 people?
So it was a mixture. So we had an office staff. We had an administrator, a project manager, and then we had just crews of people. So we'd have like a lead carpenter with a helper, and then we also had a group of laborers that would do what's called contents cleaning. Because within we had a contents manager too, and then contents cleaners. So within restoration, on top of like your standard stuff that you think of fire and flood, there's mold. Mold is very common, and so mold will impact all of your stuff as well, right? So even though you might have, like most people say, well, I'll just take a cash out. Well, sometimes you can't cash out a 500-year-old dresser, like, you know what I mean?
Right.
Or your grandmother's chair. Like you can't cash that out. So we got to try and clean that and repair that. And so we would bring that back to our warehouse and go through that. So we had hired those people on to do it. We were even receiving shipping containers. So like shipping containers on a ship, which we just had one go by, they leak. Like they will leak sometimes, and it will just damage everything inside the shipping container. And so we would they'd bring the shipping container to the warehouse, drop it off, and it would be someone's entire life in this container.
Right.
We'd empty it all out. We'd have to clean everything. Pages of a book, like we'd go through all that.
So when I was broke, I had rich habits. When I was broke, I had rich habits.